Hi, King Boomer. I cannot decide whether you look like a Civil War general or a communist dictator, but either way, I don't like it. Hello, all you wonderful... I can't even fucking talk already. I'm leaving that in. Fuck it. What's going on, all you lovely boomerizzles? It's good to see you. Going to be reacting to this video today that I found. This is called UK versus USA Culture Explained. I love the explained type of videos, but this is from a channel that I've never seen before. This is JimmyTheGiant. He's got about 340k subscribers, way more than me. So, Jimmy, I hope you're doing well. It'll be nice to get some explanations, because I wonder if we're similar at all, you know? It says here in the description, it says, today we explore the history of how British and Americans became so similar yet so different. So this should be very interesting. You know, because we do have some similarities after all. Maybe me specifically, since I like your comedy so much over there. But anyway, let's get into it. Remember to like, subscribe, do whatever you guys want. And if you want to check out Jimmy the Giant's channel, I'll put a link in the description below this video for you guys, alright? Let's check it out. Explain it to me, Jimmy.
Britain and America are like twins.
Oh shit, I did it again. I can't even hear it. I forgot to switch up the audio. I'm leaving that in too, huh? Let's try it. Okay, here we go.
Britain and America are like twins, separated from birth. One was raised in fine aristocracy, and the other was abandoned at a gas station and told, good luck. These two great nations have dominated the world both economically, militarily, and culturally.
Everyone in Britain got in a big old boat, and we set sail, and we robbed, and this will sound far-fetched, everyone in the world!
Whilst having spawned from the same origins, they went off in their own two directions, becoming both very similar and very different.
Yo, we all are great. We all should think that we're great. There's no reason for you to not think that you're great.
I've started to get this feeling that I'm totally fucked. You know? Everything's fucked.
Today, we will analyse American versus British culture.
The American comic hero is a wisecracker who is above his material and who is above the idiots around him. You know that scene in Animal House where there's a fellow playing folk music on a guitar? John Belushi picks up the guitar and destroys it. And the cinema will laugh because he just smashes it and then waggles his eyebrows at the camera. Everyone says, God, he's so great. Well, a British comedian would want to play the folk singer.
Comedy is a great way of revealing a culture's ideas. So American comedy and British comedy, they're very different. American comedies always tend to be built around the idea of like optimism and positivity.
Be curious, not judgmental. I like that.
There's typically always the notion that
Ted
things
Lasso,
can get better. You can see this in the character Leslie Knope in Parks and Rec.
I can do it. I can crush him. I promise.
And typically, in an American comedy, the cool guy is the main character.
So you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation.
Now, let's compare that to British comedies. Typically, the idea in a British comedy is that life will always disappoint you.
We need to have a talk.
You finishing with me?
We weren't ever really.
Oh,
I see you not around, but here.
see you.
Secondly, you'll never make it in life. All your dreams and hopes and optimism is ultimately futile.
I have this dream. You and I own this skyscraper office block on the South Bank. And above us, on top of the skyscraper, in 50-foot-high neon lettering, are the initials of Trotters, independent traders.
Just above your head is the word tip.
Another idea that is shown is that you can always expect the worst thing to happen.
So, yeah. Right, thank you very much. Do you like it? Oh, shall I put that on you? Brilliant.
Yes, fucking hell. I'll tell you this. Now, I've noticed that I even mentioned it in a video like a month ago that I was reacting to. But yeah, there's much more positivity, and this is not just with comedy, but in our culture. There's much more positive thinking and like you can do it, like, you know, kind of thing. Whereas it seems, at least in the comedy over there, I can't speak for much else, but it seems in the comedy in the UK, there's this overhanging attitude that, you know, something bad's about to happen. So, you know, it's pointless to stay overly positive about things, which I've noticed that. So that is a thing. I think that's why I enjoy UK comedy so much more. People have asked me, not just in live streams, but in private messages, DMs, if you want to call it that. But people have asked me, like, do you tend to enjoy UK comedy more than USA comedy? And my answer is always an emphatic yes. And the reason is because comedy here in the United States, I was never much of a comedy guy when it comes to television shows. Films, movies is much different. If you, I think that maybe not lately, but at least the from like, you know, the 1980s to like the 2010s thereabouts, like comedy movies in the United States were great. Lately they fell off quite a bit because I think they've been injected with politics too much. But the films have been great. Television, on the other hand, here in the United States, some people absolutely love Friends, Frasier, Cheers. What else is there? Will and Grace. 2.5 Men, you know. Most of those, not all of them, but most of those I never really got into because I didn't find them that funny. I did enjoy 2.5 Men. But then Charlie Sheen went crazy, and then that show had to end. But and people have always asked me, you know, do I recommend any comedy shows from the United States? I always point to South Park. If you can deal with it being a cartoon, South Park is always the funniest show in the United States, in my humble opinion. But most of the comedy here, I'm like, it doesn't do much for me. So I usually watch, like, you know, the epic movies or the comedy movies. Or the dramas, you know, those I think we're pretty darn good at. But when it comes to laugh out loud, busting a gut comedy on television, ain't much. You know what I mean? So I've always enjoyed doing this YouTube channel. I've always enjoyed the UK comedy more, I must say.
My beer?
Yeah.
What?
Do you want me to get the other?
Yes!
And finally, the main character, the point of focus in a British comedy, will typically be some awkward loser.
I like your glasses.
I'm afraid they're not for sale.
I just started watching this, the first episode. I loved it.
Laugh all you want, they're not for sale.
So this leads us to our first key cultural difference. And that is American idealism versus British realism.
Yes,
Instead
yeah,
of
I
me
can
telling
see
you
that.
this, I'm going to show you it through expressions. Americans will say things like this. Well, you know what they say. The sky's the limits. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Whereas in Britain, we'll say things like, got hope for the best, but expect the worst, mate. We literally have a thing called sod's law. What can go wrong will go wrong. And then let's say you have a situation where something is looking good. You've got an opportunity. Americans will say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Whereas we'll literally say, well, old boy, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And then
Dude, I like his American accent, but I like that he's he's acting like a like an American presenter. Like, when life gives you lemons, take some fucking lemons. That kind of thing, you know? That's funny.
And finally, if you're in America and your whole life is going terribly, is looking awful, Americans say, well, it's always darkest before dawn. In England, if everything's going well, we'll say, yeah, mate, but this is just the calm before the storm. So you might be wondering, why? Why do we have these very distinct attitude differences? Before we go any further
why?
with this video, cold turkey might be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad
sorry, I
habit.
gotta
You
skip
just
past
remove
this, Jimmy.
the bad from your natural. Honest, that's when you get your journey pack today. Anyway, back to the video.
Jane, come here. Up there. Lay down. Lay down. You just went out. All right, here we go.
Now stand aside, worthy
It's a flesh
adversary.
wound.
'Tis but a scratch.
A lot of the British attitude can really be pointed to our very long and brutal history. We've had tons of wars and plagues and religious upheavals. All of these things have kind of led to British people sort of having doubt and distrust into the future. Like, yeah, it might be going well now, but tomorrow a swarm of Belgians might come over and behead us.
Belgium! Oh, that was a scene from the King on Netflix, which I don't know if you guys enjoyed that, but I thought that was I really enjoyed that movie.
Understanding our history gives us this cautiousness to being too optimistic about the future. As well, you have to combine the religious attitudes of the Church of England. The Church of England was very much a believer in the idea of original sin. The idea that humans have fallen from God, we're all inherently bad, although we do have the ability to be somewhat redeemed. This has engineered a sort of attitude of cautious optimism. We're not entirely 100% pessimists. All of this combined with the fact that our weather is pretty shit.
Rain, rain, rain. Us Brits endure it on 199 days of every year.
You could literally have a week of sunshine in England and think, you know what, this Saturday, let's go for a picnic with the family. And then because your dad showed some optimism in the weather, God will smite you with a torrential downpour for the next month.
Fuck off! No, this is what they do here in America when there's a hurricane. They stick some poor bastard on the beach, and when the hurricane's like hitting the shore, and they're like, "Yeah, it's really intense out here," and you can barely, because all you hear is whoosh. It's hilarious. There's even been times where I think, and this happened fairly recently, I think, where a reporter was like, it's crazy out here, you need to get inside. And apparently they had like a couple wind machines and throwing water in front of the wind machines to make it look like it was more intense than what it was. So, don't trust everything you see in the news, folks. I think you guys already know that, though.
And so this general attitude can be completely contrasted with American optimism. And that stems from, ultimately, if you're the type of person to leave Britain, a established nation that has infrastructure, etc., hop on a boat, travel for weeks, months across uncharted waters to arrive on uncharted lands, to do that, you need at least an ounce of optimism. Look, water, lands in the distance, see? Mate, you've been saying that for the last 3 fucking icebergs. Oh, look, yeah, look, can you see it? Another fucking iceberg. I'm tired of this. Fuck it. And then so after discovering this new land, which was a crazy thing to go and do, America then went through 2 great awakenings. I don't know what happened in the first one, if they just hit snooze or something, but the first great awakening was in 1730 to 1740, and then the second one in 1795 all the way up to 1835. So what happened in this was that the religious attitudes of America had evolved. New ideas around like self-improvement, the idea that everyone has the ability to shape their own destiny and their own future. Humans can be better, they can improve society, they can make and create things that make the world better.
Everybody, I know you can believe in yourself.
They had strong convictions around the importance of working hard, as well as very pragmatic attitudes, the idea that things should be done well and efficiently. These last 2 led to a very strong cultural focus on capitalism and efficiency in business, which all of this manifested itself in the idea of the American dream.
The
American dream is just the ability to achieve. Anybody can do it, but you're not just gonna get it because you want it. You gotta be willing to work hard. You gotta apply a lot of hard work. You gotta apply faith. You gotta apply persistence. You've gotta never, ever give up.
So basically, the idea of the American dream is that any old piece of shit, old Bob who still lives at home with his parents, 40 years old, anyone can go and do anything they want to in life.
That Americans are told they can become the next president of the United States. And they can. British people are told it won't happen to you. And they carry that with them.
And I know what's probably going through your head. You might hear that and think, fucking hell, why are
Britons... I can see why it's very easy to make fun of, like, us dreamers over here. You know, the American dream. But it honestly, like, to what Ricky Gervais just said, it kind of makes me sad, because it's like it won't happen to you. A lot of successful people here in the United States have some type of story behind it where someone who was close to them, or it's usually a family member or something, had told them at one point in their lives, or maybe several times throughout their lives, that, you know, you won't amount to anything. You ain't gonna do nothing with your life. You will not be successful. You know, some kind of variation of that. And they end up being very successful. So to hear that from Ricky, it kind of makes me sad a little to know that people in the UK have that type of attitude. Although I will admit, the overly positive attitude, excuse me, I'm hitting puberty for the 1700th time. The overly positive attitude here in the United States, some of you have said it's annoying. I think it's annoying too. Because you do need... I like a balance between the two. To be optimistic about certain things and have some self-confidence, which is, I think, is more important than optimism. Self-confidence is much more important. So it's a balance between self-confidence and realism. To know, like, what the outcomes could be, what the consequences of certain actions could be. A lot of people here in the state, they don't think about those things before they go head first into doing something. I do. So, or at least I try to. So yeah, I think it's better if it was so you take the U.S. dream, American dream attitude, and the U.K. like everything shit attitude. If you mix it together, it could create something great. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
So pessimistic. I mean, we literally had the biggest empire on Earth. Why are we so deflated? And so that leads us to a very core cultural difference between England and America, and that is class structure.
I was brought up...
Well, actually, you didn't really... You gave most of it away, you know, which was smart, because it was starting to become a burden. But anyway.
This empire on Earth, why are we so deflated? And so that leads us to a very core cultural difference between England and America, and that is class structure.
I was brought up in a poor family, you know. Really, we had nothing, really. If I could get in a position that some of them people in, I would like to be in it. These lords or ladies or peers, or you're talking about them class of people.
The Curzon's family started with William the Conqueror.
In Britain, the idea of class and where you stand socially has been a very core part of our identity. Until very recently, as a Brit, your whole life was decided before you were born. These differences between the upper class and the working class has existed through most of British history. There's like this idea that the upper class are pure blood. They were like chosen by God. They had divine rights. They literally referred to themselves as blue-blooded. And they were much better than the grunts working the coal mines to power their beautiful machinery. And so there's always been this attitude in England of like judgment between the classes. The upper class and the working class hate each other. And class is interesting because it's not just defined by wealth.
We give dinner parties 2 or 3 times a week. This enables us to keep in touch with our wide circle
That's
of
my
friends.
boy, John Cleese.
We give a wine and cheese do once a month. This enables us to do it on the cheap.
Her mother comes round Saturday nights and drinks my Guinness. This enables her to get drunk for nothing.
Class is much deeper than simply wealth. It's the accent you talk in, the way you behave, the schools that you're educated in, if you're from Cambridge School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, versus the community college in Shitham. Literally everything you did would
Shitham. In Shitham. Oh my god, I'm gonna found a town and call it Shitham. That sounds like an awesome name, to be honest. Where are you from? Shitham, mate.
Defined by class.
I think working class people
I would
in
live
general
there.
feel this kind of thing weighing down upon them, and I can't put it into words of what it is. But I think people watching this will understand that you feel it pushing you down all the time.
And so there's this understanding that there isn't much class mobility. If you are lower class, even if you got wealthy, you could never be upper class. There's no way. And so this kind of demoralization spawned a attitude in British people that things can't really get that much better. I'm always going to be judged from basically the background that I'm from. In America, as I explained with the American Dream, the attitude is that anyone can be anything. Americans love the idea of the rags to riches story, the underdog archetype that you see in films like Pursuit of Happiness or The Founder. Class does exist in America, but it is very different. You're probably going to see more things between North and South divides and racial divides. But I do, as a British person, quickly want to make a caveat. The British people have never had like outright defeatism. British people will try in life. They'll try very hard, but we just don't like to get our hopes up. We are optimistic, but just in a very cautious way. Like, Americans might aspire to be a millionaire CEO of a big tech startup, whilst British people will aspire to one day shop at Waitrose.
My wife likes to shop at Waitrose.
Sorry.
Way. Like, Americans might aspire to be a millionaire CEO of a big tech startup, whilst British people will aspire to one day shop at Waitrose.
My wife likes to shop at Waitrose. It's the middle class option. People who shop at Waitrose.
I reacted to a video or two from Michael McIntyre, and like I saw a lot of comments from people who hate him, which, you know, some people really don't like certain comedians. I thought he was all right. What was I gonna say about the but what he said about the we're optimistic, but we don't want to be overly optimistic. I like that better than what Ricky Gervais said earlier, because that actually, you know, because there's some type of positivity. Just don't, you know, expect too much, which I'm kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Because they like to drop it into conversation.
I can see that.
Sorry I'm late. I was just at Waitrose, just so everybody knows.
So the explanation on the class system leads us to another point, which is politeness and expressiveness. Here's your food, good sir. What the fuck is that? Everything okay with the food? Oh yes, lovely, thank you. I would say British people are kind of overly aware of being rude and impolite, which has some benefits. You know, we treat people really well. We hate to be awkward, and we like people to feel relaxed. But it can cause British people to take way too much shit and not stand up for themselves.
What the I slap you and you want me to hit you on the other cheek?
Americans will tolerate less bullshit, which is a good thing, but then sometimes they can be a bit rude and a bit overly confrontational. I have waited exactly 5 minutes. It is a Big Mac. How long do you need? This difference when it comes
Okay. I was a bit confused there, because I was thinking like, wow, I think he got it opposite. But I think what he means is Americans like to fucking complain. They love to complain about the dumbest things, man. I encounter this every day. And being as someone who works in the restaurant industry, you know how many times I get complaints about things that it's just absolutely absurd. So the complaining culture here drives me up the wall, trust me. So that's what I think he's referring to. Hold on, rewind that a little bit.
What the I slap you and you want me to hit you on the other cheek?
Americans will tolerate less bullshit, which is a good thing, but then sometimes they can be a bit rude and a bit overly confrontational. I have waited exactly 5 minutes. It is a Big Mac. How long do you need?
Because a lot of around the country here in the U.S., you're taught that the customer is always right. You can complain about anything and you will probably get what you want out of it. And no, I am very against that. But anyway.
This difference when it comes to being polite probably stems from the British Reserve and American individualism. British people are very reserved. Typically, in public, we all sit like this, and we're all very quiet, and we don't laugh too loud, and we try and be really polite. And this can stem from the Victorian era. There was very strict social rules over behaviour, dress, the way you express yourself. It was very stern and rigid. The reason we tolerate so much shit is because we have the religious idea of turning the other cheek. As well, our probably over-awareness of people's personal space and being rude can probably stem from the fact that we live on a small island very closely together. We don't have a lot of space and we're all on top of each other. So we have a strong respect for people's personal space.
Okay. Makes sense.
And then, like, some of it is the fact that the upper class...
I'm a bubble person. There's, I remember I had a professor at college one time. He's like, "What's your bubble?" And we were like, "What?" And he's like, "What's the bubble where you don't want us to pop it?" And what he meant was personal space. So then he would test people like, when are you uncomfortable? Like when they're a little further away, are they here? And yeah, I have a bubble. It sounds like you guys have a bubble as well. That once you enter that bubble, I need you to leave. Yeah, I have that as well.
Social attitudes probably trickled down to the working class, where it's always seen as being a lower class thing to speak loudly and have bad manners and be overly confrontational.
Can you come back in, please?
Oh my God, this is well harassment. I'm going to take this to the Court of European Rights.
Little Britain.
And so, British people have the attitude of a stiff upper lip, don't show emotion, and don't complain about your problems.
Oh!
Well, that was fucking scary.
Whereas Americans, that is not the case.
What country are we in? In the United States. You're goddamn right. You can't take a picture here. Okay, First Amendment. Get back over there.
I have a right to speak. I have a right to speak.
Deal with that.
This is my right as much as it is yours. This is my land as much as it is yours.
To Americans, I am important. I am the center of the universe. After the Great Awakening, there was a strong focus on individualism. Emotionality and expression is a good thing. Being outgoing and extroverted is a very American thing. British people are very introverted. Americans, after things like the Bill of Rights, have a strong focus on their personal rights and freedoms and liberty. In America, all men are created equal, and so they don't have this idea that you're better than me or I'm better than...
The thing is, though, with those clips that he showed, I guarantee you, I guarantee you that every single American that he showed, I think it was 3 clips, so 3 different Americans spouting about their, this is my land, this is my rights, yada yada yada, like verbal diarrhea. I guarantee you that none of those 3 Americans have ever read the Constitution. I guarantee it. They have never even... Now, I can't recite it off the top of my head, but I've read it several times. I can't tell you every single stipulation that's in there, but I've read it before several times. I guarantee you that none of those 3 Americans have ever read the Constitution at any point in their lives. I guarantee it.
Than you by birthright. We're all humans, we all exist, and we all deserve respect. And so this leads to politics and the attitude toward authority.
This is an illegal detention at this point. You better get your shit straight. Oh, I will file a complaint. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Like, right as soon as we leave here.
I'll file a complaint.
Americans are inherently very skeptical of authority. They believe more so in small government and self-autonomy due to the British ruling America and, being a bit naughty, a bit rough around the edges. As well, Americans are very rebellious. The formation of America was around escaping the Church of England. In Britain, on the other hand, it is different. We do have a trust in our government. It is waning currently, but typically we trust in...
75% it said? Yeah, our trust in government is probably like 12. And it needs to be lower. Not a fan. For those... I never say... much about political stuff here on this channel, but for those of you who know, have been following me for quite some time and know the things that I've said, I do not like the government, regardless of who's in charge.
Social order, and we don't really make too much of a big deal about infringement of our rights. And that's probably because of years of unquestioned power by monarchs. And again, the stoicism and the idea of stiff upper lip, not complaining too much, not making a big deal. It kind of has led to this polite, submissive behavior, which sometimes is a bit embarrassing.
Careful, sir, it's hot. Oh, sorry. Might burn yourself. Yeah, sorry. Would you like some salt and pepper? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Like, you can kind of picture the movie scene of a British person, an American person dealing with authority. Excuse me, sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. leave. Listen here, tough guy. You don't talk to me like that.
My hero.
Excuse me, sir. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Oh, yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, that's fine. We'll leave, for sure.
But darling, your dad owns a restaurant.
Yes, but I don't want to be rude. And so with all this, you can extrapolate these attitudes and understand different attitudes towards certain issues. You know, for instance, guns. Americans see guns as like a right to protect themselves from the government and other people. America's fast food and subsequent obesity problem has stemmed from the ideas of efficiency in business, not wanting to waste time on food, taking too long to cook. And then you have things like healthcare and welfare. Like in Britain, we have a pretty strong healthcare system. Let's not get into that. Whereas Americans are far more reserved on bringing anything into public domain, especially healthcare. Britain has an...
I don't know why, though. Like, it's... I think the main argument for people who don't want healthcare here, like, here's the method. People here in the United States, and I actually debated somebody, not really debated, but I commented back to somebody who was like, he sounded furious. It was a British guy who was like, I don't understand why Americans are so against healthcare. We're not. Our government is, for some fucking reason, which is probably because the hospitals and the pharmaceutical companies line a lot of their pockets. That's what I'm guessing. In terms of the pharmaceutical companies, it's, you know, it's very true. You just gotta look it up. But anyway, I don't know any Americans that are like regular, average, everyday Americans who are against healthcare. It's politicians and the government that's against healthcare for some reason. And like I said, I think they're being paid by certain people to say these things, and it seems like their main argument is like, oh, this providing healthcare to so many people will cost so much money, so much taxpayer money. Well, you know, at the moment they're sending all this money overseas to all these other places, so, you know, it wouldn't. I would think it wouldn't hurt that much, right? I guess this video is getting me to talk a little political at times, but. You know, the health of the things that he mentioned, the healthcare thing is just, it drives me crazy, trust me, because I would like free healthcare. But for some reason, the people who are against it, which is usually politicians and other people in the government, they say that it would cost an astronomical amount of taxpayer money. But don't let that fool you, because there's no... I don't know any regular American who would literally argue to you why universal health care is a bad idea. We all want health care over here. Free health care. It would be nice. It would be nice.
Obsession with tradition and upholding tradition, whereas America have a strong focus on new and innovation, new products, technology.
By making the screen taller but not wider, you can see more of your content without the need to scroll. We're making scrolling a thing of the past.
And so look, I've picked apart British people and American people. I've made jokes, I've pointed out some bad things, but I want to say, and I think this is true, Americans and British people have a very deep mutual respect for each other. I think very much these days,
think that's true,
ever since the war, we've had what has been dubbed a special relationship. I don't know if that's a gay thing or something, but whatever. As a Brit, I can say honestly, I really do love Americans. I love being around Americans. I really admire their confidence. They're so easy to talk to. They're very warm, open demeanors. British people can be very reserved at times.
Excuse me, young man, is anyone sitting here?
No.
That's one of my favorite skits I've ever seen.
I'm Ronald. This is Pammy. Actually, you forgot to tell us your name.
Peter.
Peter!
It can be pretty depressing talking with British people about the future and your ambitions. Whereas Americans are all patting you on the back saying, yeah, you can do it, bro. And I think Americans do appreciate British people as well. They probably appreciate our realism. We don't really bullshit ourselves. We're very honest. We know our strengths, but we also know our flaws. Often Americans see us as well-spoken and intelligent, and you can actually see our comedy has massively influenced modern American comedy. There's a lot more awkward, dry humor in American television now than there ever was in the past. And obviously, Americans fucking love our traditions, arguably more than us. And it leads me to a final thought, and that is about cultural homogenization. With the internet, culture across the world has sort of melted together. We're all seeing the same media constantly. I will listen to endless American podcasters telling me to go after my dreams and fix my life or something. The idea that the internet is bringing lots of different value systems together, and you can kind of choose which one suits you, as opposed just the one that dominates your country. But I do wonder, are we going to see less of these interesting differences, and are we just going to become a sort of best of greatest album kind of thing? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see more on this topic, check out the Afters podcast where we talk more about this.
That was very
and subscribe
good.
To the channel. Peace.
Peace. Peace, Jimmy. That was very good. Jimmy the Giant, I'm subscribing to you. It was very good. I like that a lot. A very well put together video, too. Most of my videos are not very well put together. I mean, they're reactions mostly, but even some of my ones that I try to professionally edit are not nearly as good as Jimmy. So shout out to Jimmy. You're doing great work, my friend. Sorry, I don't want to get too positive for you. But no, that was a very interesting video. I tend to agree with almost everything that he mentioned. Except, I don't think you guys are as down about life as some of you would have me believe. I think there's some positivity in your lives over there, and there should be. Just, like I said, a healthy mixture. Not you can't go full one way or full the other. Much like many things in life. But the other thing that I would say about this video is that it sounds as if he thinks all of us Americans are very, very confrontational or rude. Maybe not all, but like, I find the opposite to be true. You can't be like overwhelmingly positive and then be rude as fuck at the same time. You know what I mean? That's. I think Americans can be very rude when it comes to customer service or business related things, transactions. Like he said, we're a country of complainers. We have so many people who complain about so many things, especially when it comes to when you're at a restaurant, because I work in a restaurant. So it drives me up the wall. People complain about the stupidest things, and then they're like, well, I have a right to complain. And I'm like, all right, well, I have a right to tell you that, you know, you're a complete fucking idiot, too. And you should probably not do this anywhere else. Otherwise, all the other restaurants are going to start spitting in your food, pal. You know, so he is right about that. But confrontation, a lot of Americans like to avoid confrontation, believe it or not. I think yeah, I would say a lot of Americans like to avoid confrontation. Except when it comes to you know, transactional stuff, which I believe it should be a separate category, which is like complaining and making yourself feel better. Because, you know, when an American's complaining to you, like especially with me who works in a restaurant, when another American's complaining to me about something, they really like to talk down to you as if you're just a cog in a machine. You know, like, and you're not behind the restaurant's uniform or shirt that you have on, but as if there's nothing behind that. There's not a human being wearing that, and that drives me crazy. I hate that, because I don't think you should talk to people like that. No matter if, like, even if you're really upset, and they've really wronged you. Like, let's say you ordered a lobster and, you know, the thing, it just is riddled with disease, and they put it in front of you and expect you to eat it. Like, even then, I would not be like, this is an outrage. I'm going to start flipping chairs over until I talk to a manager, and then you talk to the manager as if they're not a human being. No, I'd be like, I'd still be calm about it and be like, I don't understand why I got a disease-riddled lobster. Like, can you guys give me something else, please? And then if they did, it's over. It's completely over. I'm like, all right, well, I guess your lobster is diseased today, but, you know, I really like this burger. Thank you. That's it. You know, but it's never it here, unfortunately. It's always a never-ending fiasco of you would, you know, something happens at a restaurant and the customer acts like you just killed his mother. It's always like that. But anyway, I thought it was a very good video. I really like the difference in the comedy bit because it shows, and I really like your comedy. I like your comedy much more than the comedy here in the United States when it pertains to television shows. Movies, I think, you know, our movies are quite good. Comedy movies are quite good. I think we're like dead even when it comes to those. But I think you guys have a far superior comedy when in television. So anyway, let me know what you think about the video. I will put up Jimmy the Giant's channel in the description below so you guys can check it out. Remember to like, subscribe, do whatever you want. And I gotta go. Peace out.